Hello and welcome to the Sound Lab podcast. Oh yes, today is a best of 2024 show in the most part, where we're going to play you some of our favourite interviews from the year gone by. We've got a couple of interviews from festivals. Slam Dunk Festival was the All American Rejects, that's coming up first, and that's going to follow 2000 Trees Festival, the Mysterines, and then third and fourth interviews today is ones I've done over Zoom with the likes of Blue and the Kaiser Chiefs, and then we're going to throw back a couple of years to 2022, where we had a chat with Dave Rowntree, who you will know from Blur. We had a chat with Dave Rowntree to talk about his solo record before they announced their return. That's Blur's return. And I asked them about it as well. I asked Dave about the return of Blur. Find out what he has to say later in the show. But let's move on, shall we? Straight away to Slam Dunk Festival. Our first interview of the year was the All American Rejects from Slam Dunk Festival. So, the guys of All American Rejects, how are you?
We are jet lagged and we are excited about the sunshine.
Yes, you're looking forward to your set later.
Sure.
And tomorrow as well while you're over here.
Not looking for... No, of course. Are you kidding me? It's the most beautiful weather we've ever had in the UK. It's 22 years later since we started this career. It's 10 years to the day since we've been at Slam Dunk. A lot of round numbers. It's always a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. How have you catered your set list for tonight with all your music that you've got out there?
That's a Nick question.
Oh, no, that's a Chris question. With a fine-tooth comb, Chris will throw the stones. We call it throwing the stones. It's every song listed on the floor. Gaylor's suspended from like a high beam, and he floats above it, and he just drops pebbles. And wherever the pebbles land is the set list. It's a very intricate process. He designed it, of course, but we're really excited about how the stones fell last night.
Good. Hopefully there's no disappointed faces in the crowd.
I mean, only if they just don't want us to play.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. No, it's been a couple of years now since you released some new music. You dropped a couple of singles a few years ago. What's the plan at the moment with writing some new stuff? Is there anything in the pipeline?
It's a soft clay. It's a giant piece of granite that will take possibly years, if not decades, to etch away to find our statue of David. But hopefully we don't, bob his head off before we get to the starting line. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Do you know kind of what you want to achieve with the next release, whether it's going to be a single or how it's going to sound?
No idea, man.
Just see what happens.
Yeah, man, if it vibes, then cool. We're not here to water down a legacy. Just want to make sure it's right.
Yeah, nice. Fair enough. And when it comes to writing for you guys, how do tracks normally start off?
In the past, Nick and I would go run away to cabins and top floors of moderately priced penthouses, and we would. It was a masochistic approach of sitting in a cave and waiting for her to arrive. I think now it's all jazz. We're very much older, and the growth that we have all kind of experienced in the last decade of sort of being inactive is slowly revealing itself to a process that could be promising.
Yeah, for sure. Now, 20 years ago when you started writing and releasing music, did you realise that today you would be playing festivals still and doing shows and be main support?
No, I think we were always had, at least for the first few years, had that thing in the back of our heads of we might have to go and get jobs again. And thankfully that never happened. But so no, I think we're just grateful. I don't think I would have thought 20 years ago we'd still be coming here to play shows.
I mean, I feel like I was pretty delusional, and I was like, yeah, we'll just do this forever. This is fine.
He had the confidence for all of us.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's delusional confidence, yes.
Ego is another word for it?
Ego, selfishness, all the things. Yeah.
And how does it feel knowing that songs that you wrote all the way back then are still being played today, are loved by many people, and people like me know the words to so many of your songs?
It's silly. It's the most silly, humbling, blessed experience to see someone that wasn't alive when we pinned some of these songs singing it as hard as I might have in 2002. It's the greatest gift I think our younger selves could have given us.
And I hope you enjoyed the interview there with the All-American Rejects from Slam Dunk Festival from earlier this year. Now, we're all over social media, so come and find us at The Sound Lab. Yes, that's on all the socials. And you can also check out the website, thesoundlabuk.co.uk. Now we're going to move on to our second festival of the year from 2000 Trees. Yeah, we had a chat with the Mysterines at the festival. So, here we go, the Mysterines. How are you?
Good.
Very well. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. You're here at 2000 Trees. How's your festival experience been so far?
We've literally just got here.
pulled up, yeah.
So, yeah, good so far.
I'm looking forward to later.
Yeah, good.
It smells really good. The food smells nice here.
Yeah,
There's some nice aromas
The
going
catering's just there and it smells really good. Sadly, I can't go in there, which is a shame. Now, we've been playing a new single of yours, The Last Dance, is what we've been playing. So tell us a bit about the single.
Yeah, it's the last single to be released from the new record. I think everyone was waiting for it, to be honest, so it was good to just get it out. And yeah, that's it.
Nice. And that is off your new record. It's out now. For those who've not heard it yet, tell us a bit about the release.
It's just it's a departure from the sound of the first album. It's a bit more, I think there's a bit more to it. I think it kind of shows a side of us that we're fond of. It's not as rock.
Yeah.
There's still rock elements in there. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, nice. And the sound that you created with this record, was it the sound you wanted to make, or is it simply how it turned out?
I think it just feels a bit more relevant to where we're at now creatively and stuff, so I guess it was intentional, but also I guess we've just kind of changed and developed a bit more.
Yeah, fair enough. And when it comes to the writing side of things, how do tracks normally start off for you guys?
I think they vary really. I think with the first album it was very different because of COVID. Lee and Carl did a lot of it together, and then this one was me and Leah were just working together loads on piecing everything together. But I think it's just one of them. I think it's just a song by song thing. I think it just changes really.
Yeah, fair enough. And with the lyrics side of things, how easy do you find it to add the lyrics to the music that's created?
I suppose it just kind of like becomes one world really. Like we sort of like reflect each other a lot of the time, and yeah, I guess melody's a big part of it, and yeah, I think it depends on the song. Do you know what I mean? I do like a lot of writing, so it always changes song to song really.
That's fair enough. Yeah, and you've been busy being on the tour and on the road. You've done some in-stores. How were they?
They were great, yeah. Really good, yeah.
I think we enjoy doing it a bit more stripped back and kind of representing where the songs have come from.
Yeah. Was it easy to create the show for the in-stores? Because obviously it's a very different scenario to doing a big live performance.
Yeah, it was, because a lot of them were kind of written in that way. We were doing it with like a drum machine and just an acoustic guitar and stuff like that. And that was kind of how the songs started really. So it probably made more sense than what they actually ended up being.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it was good fun.
Yeah, good. And you've got loads more touring coming up. You've got some festival dates and a big tour coming later this year. I bet you can't wait.
Yeah, boss. Looking
Very
forward to playing
excited.
the new record.
Yeah, you've got some dates here in the UK. You've got some Europe dates as well. You're hoping to venture further afield as well, States and elsewhere?
Space would be cool.
First band on the moon.
Yeah. We're actually looking into it, I think. The crew are putting a few pieces together to get us up into
We're speaking to the Musk.
space. Speaking to the Musk, yeah.
Got the Musk on the phone. See if he can sort us.
He's making a new amp for us.
Yeah, nice. Is there anywhere that you've not been to yet that you want to get to?
Australia.
Yeah.
Australia and Japan. Because that was really quick answer, but I was talking to someone about that the other day. So they're my two. Don't know what.
I'd like South America.
Yeah. Brazil.
We haven't been to New Orleans yet. That's meant to be great, so.
Nice. Plenty of scope, plenty of stuff for next year.
Hopefully, yeah.
And finally, have you? I know the album's only just come out, but have you started thinking about the next release and started with some ideas?
Not really. No.
We've been since the album came out, we've been in the middle of festival season and the in-store tour, so we've kind of not really had a minute to even process everything. Do you know what I mean? So I think as soon as festival season's out the way, maybe, and the bulk of touring's done, that's when we start thinking about what's next, maybe.
And I hope you enjoyed the interview there with the Mysterines from 2000 Trees Festival earlier this year. Now, we also have a Spotify playlist. It's called Fresh. It brings you some of the best unsigned artists around that we've had a chance to listen to the track. We thought it was so good that we thought we'd bring it to you in a playlist. So go and find our Fresh playlist on there. Links on our website as well, thesoundlabuk.co.uk. So go and check that out after the show. Yeah, let's do it after the show. So we now head to our Zoom interviews. We do a load of these, but a couple of the bigger names we've interviewed this year include Blue. Yeah, they started releasing some more new music earlier this year. We had a chat with them. So Blue, how are you?
We're very good, Jim. We're very good, mate.
Good, mate. How are you?
Good, yeah, not too bad. So we've been busy playing a single of yours, a brand new one called My City. Tell us a little bit about the single, first of all.
The song was written by Lee. He doesn't basically live in England anymore. So when he landed back in London, he was looking around and this sort of song came into his head. We instantly loved it because, I think it speaks to anybody out there I've gone to college or gone to university and left home and then returned to their city and I've seen the changes and we just thought it was very poignant and because we're an international band, I can go all around the world as well. So, these are the things you've got to think about now with the way things are with the internet and, all these social media platforms. So it sort of fits and felt like one of those big blue choruses from back in the day as well. So, it's always nice to be able to have the option to put out music and the fans respond the way they have as well. So thanks for supporting it.
Pleasure is all mine. Is this now the start of more new music to come from you guys?
It's a start. It's hopefully not the end, that's for sure. For us, it's about just keep making music. And if an album comes, great. But there's no pressure on us to do an album at this present time as we're talking to you today. But is there more music in the future? Fingers crossed and absolutely.
Good, great stuff. You've been busy on tour as well. You've been touring across the UK and elsewhere. How's the touring been for you this year?
It's been amazing to reconnect with the fans. Obviously, with the new single, being able to go out there and give them something new as well. It's been great to have something that was intimate to and show the fans little stories and anecdotes that we probably never shared before. And after that, and the way it's sort of snowballing all around the world as well in all the territories that we sort of have made an impact. It's just great to have the response that we're getting, and we're just sort of just riding the wave, so to speak.
Yeah, nice. And you've not got loads left in the diary at the moment. You've got a couple more UK. There's a US date, but you've got some runs in Italy in November as well. I bet you can't wait to do more stuff.
Yeah, Italy's always a great place for us to go to. Fans and the supporters are absolutely out of this world, and it's just nice to go back there and doing a lot of summer shows over this year, and then we're going back in November and doing our own sort of mini arena tour, so to speak. But yeah, Italian fans have always been very supportive of us, and yeah, we thank them.
Yeah, great stuff. Now, I'd like to talk a little bit about the writing side of things. So normally, how do tracks normally start off for you guys?
I mean,
you do a lot of writing, Gabe.
It's hard to explain, to be honest. You just go with the feeling, first of all, you need to hear a beat. Sometimes it comes into your head a cappella. And, the writing process is, everybody does it differently.
Yeah.
But we all seem to like our own styles and individual styles because I think of our musical backgrounds that we all grew up with, it's hip hop, rock, pop. We like all genres of music, and I think that's where we're able to fuse that together and sort of hit the way we do. You know, with All Rise, it was that kind of hip hop feel, but with that harmonica, which was kind of from a TV advert, like a jingle.
Wasn't it, so?
Yeah, and then it was, you know, we've gone a little bit edgy. So, you know, we just love doing what we do. You know, and I think the great thing about Blue is I think we're very, very lucky to have all four members, because with all four of us wanting to be in a boy band, we wasn't discovered on a you know, through back in the day was
TV shows,
what was it? Newspapers, and you know, when the stage, that was it, stage newspaper. You know, you go for a solo project, and then someone would say, you know, actually you'd be better in a boy band, and those bands were then manufacturally put together, and then, you know, because of their dreams of being solo, I think that's when, you know, wrinkles start to form in other bands. But for us, it's always been about us, but we've always wanted to go out there and do individual things as well, whether it's theatre, TV, you know, nowadays it's called a triple threat, so to speak, in the entertainment business, and it's just great to be able to do everything that we do and learn new skills and swim across bloody the channels. You know what I mean? Falling asleep in the channel.
Oh, mate, yeah.
That's a different story, but yeah.
Yeah, and when it comes to the vocals, how do you split them up into your four parts? How does that work?
Just works out differently, mate. Like some, you know, I could write a song tomorrow and have it in my head that Webby's going to start it, I'll do the pre, Dunk will do second, Lee will do chorus. And for example, that's just giving you an example. And we'll go in, we'll test it, and I think, no, so I try the pre and I'll try the first. It just happens like that. All our voices are so different, but yet so similar, if that makes sense. When you hear our harmonies, our blend, you know it's a Blue sound. And if you look at the albums and the songs over the years, everyone has got different abilities in their voice, and every voice evolves. You know, all our voices have evolved over the years, and I think that's the beauty about being in a band. You can do that. Do you know what I mean? You can have little says in who's got what.
Yeah, and we never argue over parts. You know, we all want to see each other win and be comfortable in the position that we choose as well. So, and from that's when you'll get the better vocals on the track, because you're passionate about doing that part.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, let's go back in time, shall we, to when you started things off. Did you realise at the time how big Blue was going to be, and for people to still know the words to your songs, 20, 25 years later?
It's still a dream come true. I still wake up, I don't understand it. You know, every time we go out there on stage, we look at each other and we watch the reaction of the fans and the love that we get back from them. We're just four lads, you know, all from different corners of.
Sorry, that's my daughter. Sorry, mate. Sorry, bud. It's her birthday, so she's calling me. I apologise.
Yeah, we're all from different corners of the UK, and we're destined to collide and come together to make this boy band that has had this success all around the world. So, I mean, we don't know what that formula is. Maybe it's because we love doing what we do, and people can see that we're still mates. We still love each other. We're brothers. 24 years in. You know, still the same members. You know,
which is a feat in itself, really.
And it was an anomaly within the music business.
Yeah,
you know, to have all four members nowadays, but people are always swapping out. So, yeah, we're just very, very lucky. We're very passionate about what we do, and we just want to see each other win as well. That's the main thing.
Yeah, great stuff. And you've achieved many things in the world of music, but is there anything that you've not done yet that you want to do as a band still?
No, there's so many things we want to do. Do you know what I mean? I don't think we've achieved so much. What would you like to do, man? It's hard, isn't it? It's a bit of an on the spot question, that, mate.
You're welcome.
How do I do that? That's my little thought.
We haven't done. I mean, we've sang with legends, haven't we? That we've grown up with, such as Sir Elton John, Stevie Wonder, Lionel Richie. You know, performed at the Queen's Jubilee. I mean, the list goes on. What we've done, but we can't believe exactly what we've achieved and how we've done it. So, but we're just grateful for the chance that the fans have put us in a position. They've gone out there, they've supported the records that they've chosen, and we're the chosen ones in their eyes, which I think is a fantastic feeling.
Yeah, and you've toured many places around the world. Is there anywhere that you've not been to yet that you want to go to?
It'd be nice to do America. No, America would be
Vegas,
great.
maybe?
Vegas. Yeah, Blue in Vegas. What a show that would be.
Yeah, wouldn't mind a little stint there. We definitely haven't done that. So.
No, we haven't.
And I hope you enjoyed the interview there with Blue from earlier this year when they started releasing some more new music. And speaking of new music, we also have this very podcast with loads of music. Yeah, it's called a radio show. You might remember those. We still do it, and it still broadcasts over 80 radio stations across the world. So if you want to hear these interviews alongside some music and a live session this week from the Choir Boys, you can go and check that out on our website, thesoundlabuk.co.uk, and click on the International Radio Show button, and you'll find it on there. But we're going to move on and play the next interview from the Kaiser Chiefs, who we spoke to, again, earlier this year to talk about new music. So here we go, Kaiser Chiefs, how are you?
I'm good, thank you very much. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. So we've been playing a new single of yours called Burning in Flames. Tell us a little bit about the single, first of all.
So sort of like we made this album and we were trying to do a lot of different things. Or I don't know if we actually tried. We ended up doing like loads and loads of different styles of stuff. So I think people have heard like How to Dance is a bit more like funk and disco, and then there's some more sort of traditional Kaiser Chiefs stuff on the record. But Burning in Flames, we sort of tried, like we wrote it and it sounded good. It's like a nice song, but it felt like it, like needed something extra, which was the strings, I think. So we sent it to like this guy, David Arnold. He's like a famous, what do you call it, arranger, and he's done lots of movies. He used to do the James Bond movies. I don't know if he still does. And he did, and he has had a solo career, like had singles as well and stuff. He's a producer. Anyway, he did the strings, and sorry, it's getting very complicated there. He did the strings and added them on top, and I think like the whole point was to make this sort of like big, movie soundtrack ending credits kind of song, it's about kind of being in a band, and sort of sometimes you want to throw it all away, then sometimes you realize that it's what you love the most. So it's kind of like quite apt for us now. We've been in the Kaiser Chiefs for 20 years, so it's been you sometimes have some moments of doubt.
We'll get onto those 20 years a bit later on, but let's talk about your new record, which is out on March the 1st, called Kaiser Chiefs Easy 8th album. How easy was it?
It was quite easy in a way. The whole thing we were kind of manifesting a little bit of like when we make a record, often it's very stressful and you're kind of tearing your hair out and all that stuff. And we were like, why does it need to be this difficult? Like I think because of COVID, like after we were coming out of COVID when we first started making the record, and that had made everyone, I think, feel a little bit like, especially musicians, where we saw there was one email from our manager in COVID, which was basically like, you might never do a gig again, which seems a little over dramatic at this point, right? But I guess at that time it felt like realistic. So when you've had that situation, I think just sort of trying to enjoy it and like really loads of really corny things like not worrying about what other people think and just doing what you want and all that stuff, became sort of important. And I think it came on that sort of drifted onto the record. And yeah, part of that is so part of the Easy 8 thing was like, it was not a joke, but kind of like, if the second album is difficult, why can't the 8th one be easy? Then also as a sort of statement of like, let's try and make it easy. So not getting too stressed about decisions, not arguing too much, just sort of like trying to listen to other people as well. So like this guy, Amir Amor, he was the producer, sort of like, we gave him a little bit of like, probably a little bit more control than we would usually give producers, in terms of like, we would send him loads of songs and we'd be like, which ones do you think are the best ones? Which ones do you think should be on the album? Stuff like that, which is unusual for us. Usually we would be like very, very like hands-on about every single decision. So yeah, we just tried to like, we're a little bit older, tried to just sort of take it easy a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. And you'll be getting the chance to play these tracks live when you head out on tour in April. I bet you can't wait to be on the road again.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We've actually got some, how many are there? 4 gigs this week, starting tomorrow. We're doing some in stores, but they're not in record shops anymore. They're in venues. And so, yeah, tomorrow, get to play some music again, which I'm really looking forward to, because this has been like the longest gap between Kaiser Chiefs records, 2019 to 2024. So that's a long time. But also, we haven't played together music for quite a lot of months. I think it was probably September, I think, when we last did a gig. That's a really long time for us. That's like a surprisingly big gap. So obviously we've been rehearsing, obviously. But in terms of with an audience, so yeah, it'd be great to get back to it, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. And then we'll be heading into festival season. You got a few booked in. Are you planning on having a busy festival summer?
We actually, like, this year, we've got a few things booked in. We're not going too crazy this year because of, well, various things, including we've done every summer for like about 20 years. But we've got big plans for 2025, which haven't been announced yet. So we are just sort of doing, like, promoting the album, doing some gigs, but we're not like really milking it, but really like pushing it. I don't know what the right word would be, because we want to sort of have a big year next year.
Sounds good to me. Are you hoping to head overseas as well, into Europe and over to the States?
Yeah, we'll go to Europe, I think, a little bit. America might wait till 2025. Like, I've been doing lots of interviews, obviously, for the album, and everybody from like Australia or Brazil or Japan or everywhere wants to know when are you coming? And my kind of stock answer is we'll be there next year. So hopefully we won't disappoint too many people.
Nice. Sounds good to me. And you touched on 20 years in the band now. How has the music and how have you evolved over the years?
It's a really good question. I think like it's almost a question for someone from the outside to answer, but I think I think there's definitely like a couple of periods of Kaisers. Like there's the early period where I guess we were just sort of getting going, and like all the songs we wrote were for live. Like we would be in the rehearsal room and we'd be like, done a gig last night. And we'd be like, okay, we need to write a song for the middle of the set that's upbeat and that everyone can get straight away. So that's like kind of where Na 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 or something came along. And then there was a period like with the 4th album, you sort of make your own album, where I think we got a little bit lost and we didn't really know exactly what to do. And that album I think is really interesting, but it's like a bit unfinished maybe. And then there was sort of a new Kaiser Chiefs when Nick left with Education and War. That was sort of like reclaiming, I guess, Kaisers. I think that's what the album kind of represents, like just starting again a little bit. And then since then, I think we've been trying to just sort of make interesting albums and do interesting things and work with different interesting people to keep, make it interesting for us, make it interesting for the people who are listening. Obviously, the world's changing as well with like CDs not exist. Well, they exist, but no one listens to CDs, right? Everyone's streaming, and maybe radio is different, and playlisting is different. So there's a lot of different sort of things floating around. So we've always just tried to sort of run with the punches, if you know what I mean, and try and like work out how to make sure that the most people can listen to Kaiser Chiefs. And yeah, I think with this record though, I think we tried with Stay Together, which was the album in 2016. We sort of decided to make a pop album and do it with like a pop producer. And I think some of the songs in that album are really good. Like Hole in My Soul's good, and Parachute and some of the songs are good. But like I never loved the production. Like I thought like if I could do it again, I would try it just to get some slightly different production, different mixing or whatever. But with this album, I feel like we've done something really like we've been trying to do, which is sort of make an album that it's got Kaiser Chiefs DNA, but then it sounds more modern. Like it doesn't sound like it was made in 2005. It sounds like it was made in 2023 or whenever it was made. So I'm really, really pleased with that.
Yeah, I can well imagine. And with the writing side of things, how do tracks normally start off for you guys?
It all depends, really. This album's been an interesting album because of working with Amir and like some remote, like I think it's kind of modern, but like more remote working. So like we would be like sending things on email to people, or we transferring tracks and recordings, like even like stuff like the studio. We did some stuff in a proper studio, but then some stuff we just recorded in our rehearsal room and then sent it over to Amir to like produce. So it's been interesting, but songwriting wise, some stuff like Another Reason, Stay Alive, and No Groove, and Feeling All Right, they just started with us jamming in Leeds in our rehearsal room. Other songs, you know, like Burning in Flames and stuff, a lot more, what's the word, like being a studio, being a mere studio or another studio, and like have an idea and then just build up from that, and then like almost playing it as a band is a secondary thing, you know, like you sort of write the song and then you work out how you're going to play it as a band. So yeah, again, with just sort of time passing and developing and people being in different locations as well and all that stuff, just trying to adapt and trying to do things in different ways. I think like it's just part of being in a band or part of being an artist is you try different things, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, for sure. And sometimes you get co-writers in as well. On this record, you've obviously got Nile Rodgers on as well, who co-wrote your track "Feeling All Right." How does that work in terms of writing and getting tracks sorted?
Well, the Nile one's sort of a bad example because really that song was pretty written, but we just took it. We went in the studio with him. We messed around with some arrangements, some chords and stuff, but like the sort of basics of the track was done. Whereas Beautiful Girls, more of a song where we went. Ian Archer is a guy we've written with him before on Duck, and he's written some songs like he did some Snow Patrol stuff, but he also did lots of, I want to say George Ezra, but I think that's wrong. Anyway, he's a great guy. We've worked with him, and he's like just in terms of ideas, he's a really good guy to work with. But that was more of a matter of me and Ricky going to his place in Brighton and then just sort of having some ideas with him, jamming with him, and then coming out with like some words and some chords, and then taking it back up to Leeds and then sort of fleshing it out into what it becomes. So I think when you've been in a band for 20 years, sometimes you need a little nudge sometimes about like getting started. But all those experiences are always good, and always like going back to Education and War. We worked with Fraser T. Smith. That to me was one of the best writing experiences ever, because it was the first time he told me the way I wrote, if you know what I mean, or the way that Kaiser Chiefs write. So he told me some of my own tricks, and I was like, all right, I didn't know, but it helped me in the future. Do you know what I mean? It was a weird sort of like, we wrote a song, but he also taught me some stuff about myself, a bit like therapy.
And I hope you enjoyed the interview there with the Kaiser Chiefs. And this is the part of the show where we like to throw back to an old interview. Yeah, we've been doing this for many, many years. I think about 13 years I've been doing this, and we've interviewed so many artists. But this week we've chosen to go back just a couple of years to 2022, where we had a chat with Dave Rowntree. This was prior to the announcement of Blur's reunion. We even asked him about a potential Blur reunion. Hear what he has to say later in the interview. So Dave Rowntree of Blur, how are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Very good. Thanks for having me on.
Good. Yeah, not a problem at all. So we're here to have a little chat about a debut single of yours called London Bridge. What can you tell us about the track?
Well, it's a track about. Well, what is it a track about? There's a time when I was young when I lived at the number 126 of my road. I used to catch the 126 bus. And the more I thought about the number 126, the more I saw it everywhere. To the end, it became a bit of a thing, like the universe was trying to scream 126 at me. And I knew what was going on. I know that that's the way that the mind works. The mind's a pattern recognizer, and it's called confirmation bias. When you see a 126, you go, it's 126. And when you see the number 7, you don't go, well, that's odd. That's the number 7, not the number 126. But just knowing that was what was going on didn't make the effect any less powerful, you see. And it happened again when the band was young in the 90s. late 80s, early 90s, and I was living in central London. Every time I went past London Bridge, sort of odd coincidences would start happening. Nothing remarkable, but just the more that happened, the more it seemed to happen. And again, it's confirmation bias, the brain going, the brain noticing when things happen when you're near London Bridge station, or when in the context of London Bridge, and not noticing when things don't happen. So and I thought, looking back on that, I thought that was interesting how just having knowledge of how the mind works doesn't stop the effects of what the mind's doing being any less powerful. It still felt as if the universe was screaming, London Bridge at me. Even though I knew it wasn't. I'm not naive about these things. I know these are artifacts of the kind of millions of years of evolution, and they're fundamentally still lizard brain herd animals, and that's what's allowed us to thrive over these years. But the takeaway point from that when I was musing was something that's stead me in good stead in later life, that just knowing that your brain is messing with you doesn't stop it messing with you. And I'm somebody who's not, I'm not going to talk about this in the interview, and this isn't what the album's about or anything, but I'm not somebody who's had good mental health throughout my entire life. And just knowing that there's something going on, and I'm trying to understand it and learn more about it is the takeaway point. Isn't the answer. Yeah. In the same way that knowing that confirmation bias is happening doesn't stop confirmation bias happening. When you are suffering from poor mental health, you need to get other kinds of help other than reading books about mental health. Yeah. Otherwise, doctors would never be sick, and psychiatrists would never have psychiatric problems, and dentists would never need to go to the dentist. So that's what London Bridge is about. It's about that kind of that realization that those kind of silly things that happened in the past had implications for me. And that's what the decision was. The decision was to take some action other than trying to read a self-help book.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is coming off a bigger body of work, so there's more of you to come. What's the plan? What can we expect to hear from you going forward?
Well, I'm putting the finishing touches, the euphemistic finishing touches to an album, which will be released in due course, and I've got some more music coming out beforehand. Hoping to do some live shows. Again, that's all part of the plan. So pretty full on schedule actually.
Good. That's great to hear. So, what's it like writing music for yourself compared to writing music for a band?
Well, it's when it goes well, it's very, very satisfying. Kind of knowing that you're the originator of the work, most definitely. But I've been doing. This isn't a kind of new experience for me. I've been writing songs since I was a kid. I just haven't really taken the next step and done anything with them, really. Yeah. And I think my day job these days is writing music for film and TV. I've just got the series on the BBC called The Capture at the moment, which is out, and I did the music for that. I did various other things for Netflix and Disney Plus and all those kind of things. And I think so, having had some success, not excess, with that has kind of given me the confidence to work on my songs more and kind of turn a body of work that I did into an album. And also COVID had a big influence on that, because I suddenly found, as we all did, in the first lockdown, we were all sitting there looking out the window going, Jesus, what am I going to do in the next 6 months? So, that had a big influence. Well, the album's nothing to do with that, but and it's been a great process, I think.
Yeah, good. And I'm guessing that's kind of the answer to my next question: is why have you decided to release solo music now when you've been kind of delved into the music world for many years?
Yeah, just the things kind of came together really. I've got a professional recording studio now, which I use for doing my film work, and I had a body of work that I had some ideas, and some things had changed in my life, and I've been writing some songs around all of that, and so I had a group of songs that felt like a body of work, and I had a lot of free time on my hands. So like a lot of people, I think it's a bit of reevaluation, and to be honest, though, it probably would have happened anyway, maybe in a slightly different way. I mean, I worked with a producer who I'd wanted to work with for a long time called Leo Abrahams. Of course, he was sitting in his studio, twiddling his thumbs as well. So he was glad of the phone call, but it did mean that we had to work separately. So that had its own, pluses and minuses, I guess. That influenced the sound of the album as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't talk to you without mentioning Blur. Obviously, everybody knows the band if you're into the UK music culture and the past and everything. But the question I like to ask, a question to artists like yourself, is did you know when you started and the band formed the success it was going to have? Did you have an inkling of where it was going to head to, or were you completely blindsided?
No, we thought we were the best band in the world, but every band thinks they're the best band in the world. So, and every 20-year-old man thinks that whatever they're doing is the best thing in the world. So, or maybe they don't, but maybe that's just us. But you could never tell. We would have when the band started out in the late 80s. Bands like us weren't getting in the charts. It took a completely radical shift in the kind of public appetite for music to make music like ours commercial, really. And it was bands like us and Oasis that did that. You look at what was in the charts before Blur and Oasis and what was in the charts after Blur and Oasis are very, very radically different things. So
very much so.
So yeah, I mean, we would, I think we were good. I think we would have had some success anyway, especially because the songs were good. But we could all play as well, and we looked good together. We looked like a band. So we would have had some success, but also we were quite lucky that shift. Had that shift not happened, we would never have got to the success that we did.
Yeah, Damon has also said in the past in interviews that a reunion again, because you've been on hiatus for a few years now, it's never not a possibility. So have you had discussions? Is there any plans? Or for you at the moment is just this solo record and that's it for now?
There's definitely willingness, I mean, there's always rumours, there's always press articles. And the problem is, if you ask the four people, you'll get four different answers until there's something in the diary confirmed, because we're all four individuals. So, I can only tell you from me, I would love to do that, absolutely. And if I think that'd be a great thing to do, especially now, especially when we're all emerging, blinking into the sunlight, things are opening up again. I think that would be an absolutely lovely thing to do. So, but I've got nothing to announce, unfortunately.
But at least the reunion is more likely than an Oasis reunion.
I would think that's quite likely, wouldn't you? I mean, if I was Oasis, I would be gunning for that at the moment. If I was either of the brothers,
I think so. Yeah.
Now is the time. If they're ever going to do it, they need to do it now, don't they? Another 10 years, we'll all be in our mid-60s and be walking on in Zimmer frames, and be slightly less appealing. You could get away with all that in your 50s, I think.
And I hope you enjoyed the interview there from Dave Rowntree of Blur from 2022. And that's the end of the show for another week, I am afraid. But don't worry, we will be back next week with more interviews and a throwback where I think I might just work my way through the festivals I've been to since 2013. Yeah, so we're going to pick an interview from every festival over the coming weeks. But if you can't wait until then, social media at The Soundlab, yes, and check out the website, thesoundlabuk.co.uk. And I'll see you next week right here on the Soundlab podcast. Goodbye.